Wendy, in hearing what packaging means, I think it sounds great if you're established, but for a new writer, is that something they should even be worried about, thinking about, striving for?
I think that, again, the first thing a new writer should concern themselves with is writing a really, really good script. I do think, and I'm sure there are producers also who, come to Film Courage. I feel like when I hear a story, so if someone, I have a writer that I've been working with who is also a documentary filmmaker, and he did a story and he showed me a few clips, and I was like, oh my God, this is so moving. This is an amazing story. And immediately I could see that the character whose story this was based on would be a great role to attract a leading actor. So immediately I'm thinking big names. Now, that then helps me sell it and promote it if I, let's say, call CAA and I create a good, compelling log line, and I say, and it's a great vehicle for a leading actor, and I might include some prototypes. And they go, great, send that over. Because everybody's usually, there are exceptions, but looking for something that's going to attract a star, whether it's a female leading actress or a male leading actor. And I felt that this, and true stories very often is a really good source to attract a leading actor. So I think the first priority is writing a good story. I think with screenwriters, some screenwriters that I know, they definitely think of a prototype when they're writing it. Like they might hear, as they're writing it, I see Marissa Tomei in the role, and that can help their process. I feel anyone who gets too attached to the outcome before you've done the process is probably not a good way to go. In the cases, let's say more with producers, or if you're a writer and you don't yet have a script on a particular subject, but you've optioned a true story, or maybe they've written an article that appears in a magazine and it can tell itself, because there have been stories optioned or turned into movies from newspaper articles. I think Boys Don't Cry, I mean, we know it was a true story. The first time I became aware of it, I actually had read it in a magazine and I wanted to option. I tried to get the rights and sell it, and I was not able to. At the time, I was primarily focused on network, and it was a little too edgy for a regular network. Anyway, but that did come from an article, as well as I said, a true story. Argo was a true story. Also was an article which I think may have been the jumping off point for it capturing the imagination of Clooney. Anytime if you have something that's an article, and if it's a true story, and you can, you can sell true stories very often without having a script yet. So if you're a screenwriter, that is something to think about. If there's a true story that you like, and you might think, oh gee, could be a great vehicle for any number of young actresses, or it offers a great role for a male lead in his 40s. So I think it's always wise to think about it, but not the cart before the horse, where that becomes necessarily the dominant idea. But in the case of, let's say, if a writer or producer has optioned the rights to a true story, then they would go out and start trying to package. So it would be about trying to get it in the hands of a production company that has greater access and leverage and ability to reach out to agents to attach an actor, director, and so on. They can try to get to an agent. I do coaching with those who are not represented to help them get through the gatekeepers and bypass certain industry protocols in order to get their material seen. There's ways that you can pitch that can entice someone even if you don't yet have an agent. So, does that answer the question about packaging?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, yeah, I would say generally, ideally, if you can get it to a production company, they are going to be in a better position to try to attach those key elements.
And so if someone says, well, we don't take unsolicited material,
Right.
then doing it through someone like you who could help kind of procure that, or also saying, well, then what if we do, what did you say that?
They say we don't take unsolicited material, that the writer producer can say, all right, well, can I sign a submission release form? Can you send that to me? And then they should show it to their entertainment attorney.
Right.
A lot of writers don't like to sign them, but it is an industry standard if you're not represented, and that's why you should have an attorney take a look. But it is fairly standard. But I do understand why it's a catch-22.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, because if they don't do it, they might not be able to submit their project. And I know for myself, sometimes I've had to do them, and there's some, depending on the language, that I won't sign, and others that I will.
And that's for the attorney to review. Because
Yes.
you can't just go online.
And also just for me, because I'm not an entertainment attorney, so I'm not telling someone, go do this definitively. They should go see an expert in that field, unless they're themselves very experienced at reading those kinds of documents. But generally, yes, have an entertainment attorney look.